Act 10 will commence in 30 minutes.
Greetings and salutations, all you lovely folks out there. I'm your host, Penguin Power, and today we return to the living hell that is Gotham City. Batman Arkham City is, in my opinion, one of the greatest video games ever created. It managed to meet the expectations of a sequel to Arkham Asylum and then blow those same expectations out of the water even more. Today, since I love this game and hate myself, and since it seemed that a lot of you wanted it, I decided that I would continue my crusade against Gotham's criminals and attempt a no-damage run for Arkham City. Since the recording software decided to cooperate with me this time, there was only one attempt at this run. As with Asylum, the rules this run are simple. If I take damage of any kind, whether it be the environment, bullets, or your local street thug violating my personal space, I have to reset from the nearest checkpoint. Damage will only count when a chunk of Batman's health disappears from the top left corner of the screen. There will be a few points throughout the run where it seems like I took damage, but I in fact don't. I will point these moments out when they come forward. Now, with all that out of the way, sit back, relax, grab some buttery popcorn, and enjoy as I ask myself the question, can I beat Batman Arkham City without taking any damage? Let's begin. The game begins with some light foreshadowing, and we see several Two-Face thugs have decided they want to steal this painting. Batman arrives and... turns out Arkham City decided to let us play as other characters for once. Yay! I get punched because my controller decided to stop working, a common theme throughout this video, and then beat the encounter on my next attempt since this really isn't that hard. Now that that's over, Catwoman tries to steal, and then the man himself shows up, with a gun pointed at her head. Once the real game begins, we see Bruce Wayne as he exercises his First Amendment right and is then promptly punished for doing so. When he wakes up, he comes face to face with Morpheus from the Matrix, who talks about something called Protocol 10. He then discovers he's been locked in his local dungeon. Since he is not a small child, he effortlessly escapes, gives this guard a concussion, and then steals a SIM card before eventually being stopped with the butt of this gun. The guard then takes us outside where we see Black Mask get tased, Bruce gets threatened, and then we get put in a room with Jack Ryder. The big door opens and we are welcomed into hell itself, otherwise known as Arkham City. We quickly save Ryder from the incoming prisoners, watch the Penguin arrive, and then get put to sleep by a pipe to the head. After our nap, we come face to face with Cobblepot himself as he chooses to insult us. Naturally, we respond by breaking his arm and knocking him out with one quick punch to the head. Seeing as this is technically the game's tutorial fight if you don't have the Catwoman DLC, I get through it no problem and then begin to scale this building. Once we reach the top of the Ace Chemicals building, we discover that Bruce Wayne is in fact Batman and hack into his communications to learn about the problems caused in the courthouse. We make our way over and take some time to beat up some thugs outside before entering. Inside, I try something Batman never usually does, the front door, which doesn't work. Big surprise. When we finally get inside, I lose focus for a second and get punched, and then proceed to get shot by Two-Face in the middle of the fight somehow. In the end, we make it, but get shot anyways. While Harvey is distracted though, Catwoman escapes and we get the best line in the game.
Two guns, bitch!
Afterwards, we tie up Harvey and somehow tie his hands up, and then with Catwoman rescued, the two lovebirds talk for a moment before Joker decides he wants to be part of the game too and attempts to shoot Catwoman. We then scan around, and because I played this game too many times, I know to go right to the church. On the way, Batman meets up with his stalker and I spend an upgrade point on health like an idiot. When we get to the church, Harley tries to attack us, and it goes just about as well as last time.
Help me, man!
She leaves, and so begins the first stealth section. This section serves more as the tutorial to all of the new torture methods, I mean stealth takedowns, that Batman has at his disposal. I beat the section first try because of this, and Cash begins booking it to the door. Once I go talk to Cash, Batman becomes the Void in what might be the strangest bug I've ever seen in this game, and we need to head up to the bell tower. That goes about as well as you'd expect by now, as Joker blows it up, so we need to go find him. We make it to the steel mill with no issue because I'm built different and pretend to be Santa Claus as we head into the chimney. Batman somehow doesn't meld inside, and so he becomes Ratman again until he finds himself witnessing a kidnapping and then brawling with the Joker's goons. I get hit with a box, punched in the jaw, and then beat it my third try. We move on into the smelting chamber to find the doctor and discover our first real stealth section. I of course passed the section well in my first attempt using the windows to my advantage. After rescuing the doctor, Batman creates the remote electrical charge, or as it's commonly called on the street, the lightning gun. We return to the main room and use the wreck gun to bring back Batman's favorite pastime, property damage. Of course, it's not that simple, as Mr. Hammer kicks Batman in the face and sends him to our next combat encounter. which I pass first try using the rec gun to keep Hammer at bay. After beating his ass, I head up to Joker's office and see that he is dead. Not really though, as Batman gets drugged and knocked out with a baseball bat. With Batman out, we become Catwoman again and head out to find Poison Ivy. I will say this now, I don't particularly like these Catwoman sections, mainly because of how they break up the story, but I also find her traversal unappealing. With that being said, I get punched once on the way to the apartment, then make it through next time. Before we can enter the apartment though, my controller briefly freaks out, and afterwards I get shot on the way like the idiot I am. I make it into Ivy's lair and then proceed to get gassed and punched before being able to talk to her, which goes well. Back to Batman, he awakens to find that he's been diagnosed with Joker AIDS and then gets kicked out a window. Joker tells us that we need to find Mr. Freeze and his cure, and then I get shot by this thug while doing a bit. Before we can leave though, Batman meets up with his stalker again. On the way to Freeze, I see the flare on the toy store and politely ask the gentleman out front what's going on. Inside, we meet up with Bambi's mom and remind him just how well our last encounter went, and gives Bane the same treatment as a deer on I-95. Bane informs us that there are several Titan containers that made it into Arkham City, so we begin the quest to go deal with them. We finally discover that Freeze is in the GCPD building and then proceed to wipe the floor with these idiots stationed out front. Batman listens into the Penguin's rant and then heads inside, where we are faced with another stealth section. After clearing most of the room, the last guy surrenders and willingly gives up Penguin's location, so we need to head to the museum. As we leave the building, Penguin decides it would be funny to blow up the bridges connecting him to Joker. This of course does not stop Batman, who gets to the museum in record time. Inside, we meet with the knife thugs and learn that Cobblepot has set up jammers to stop Batman's efforts. The first jammer is right outside and goes by with no issue whatsoever. The second jammer is also relatively close, and the stealth section attached goes very well. Following this, Penguin then tells his goons to set the final jammer up, so we need to head underground to find it. On the way, we find a Titan container and then get shot. We quickly use a smoke bomb on the two guys stationed at the entrance and find ourselves in the subway. We encounter 3 thugs, vaguely foreshadowing the next boss, and continue through the subway to the third jammer, which you should all know by now goes by with no issue since I am very good at video games. Afterwards, we head back to the museum where we unlock the way through, and Batman is unfazed by this dinosaur jump scare. We then find an armored thug who teaches us how to perform a beatdown. Afterwards, we save this cop and talk to him about Gordon. The next room finds us in the Gladiator Pit, the biggest fight in the game. Despite getting a Titan thug dropped on me, I beat the fight first try due to me mastering this game's combat system many eons ago. Oracle then joins the party, and we move on to the room filled with water as we watch this ice gun only freeze Batman's hand, but then freeze this entire police officer. Batman then walks on the ice and rescues the officer, only stopping briefly to... With this information, I perform a lot more carefully as I rescue the rest of the cops and move on to the next room with the stealth section. The section, of course, goes by with no issue, and I flirt with this cop before traveling across the pond and finding Mr. Freeze. Before we can rescue him, though, Karma must catch up briefly as I get smacked by Mr. Sickle after shocking him with lightning. Next time goes by smoothly, though. I rescue Freeze, then perform some mild torture on him in return for some information on how to stop Cobblepot. We run back over the pond, flirt with this cop again, and then take the microchip from Freeze's suit to stop the Penguin. With this newfound technology, we head to the Iceberg Lounge and finally give Penguin what he's been asking for this entire game. Of course, though, he's not done, as he introduces our first official boss fight, Solomon Grundy. I get smacked with balls during this fight, quite a lot. Being serious, though, I reset twice in the first 2 phases and then beat it, and reached what might be the most divisive part of this run. At this point, Grundy grabs Batman and drags him over to the generator to recharge his health. While he does this, though, the screen flashes black like it does whenever Batman takes damage, and his health shakes like it does in that same situation. However, Batman's health does not lower during this sequence, and I have watched it several times to make sure. Seeing as this point in the fight is a quick-time event and it is unavoidable, and since Batman's health did not go down, Batman did not take damage and the run is not over. All that being said, though, I do walk into lightning a few seconds later, so was it really worth it? Eventually, the fight gets done and Batman technically breaks his one rule as he rips out Grundy's heart. Cobblepot then appears with a rocket launcher and I tank a rocket to the face before making it over, where I RKO his ass into the ground. Freeze arrives and tortures Penguin a little bit before detailing that we need an enzyme to make the cure for Batman and Joker's shared STD. Luckily, a ninja just so happened to be right there and leads us right to where that enzyme may be. We need to find Ra's al Ghul. Batman leaves the museum and begins to follow the ninja's blood trail. He then gets jumped and chases the ninja across several rooftops before Robin shows up and assists us before we tell him to leave. He listens, but not before handing us the line launcher. We follow the tracker on the ninja into the industrial district and learn that we must travel into the sewers, so after using a smoke bomb to get past these idiots, we are in. Underground, I get punched twice before making it through this simple combat encounter. I then open up the big doors and find myself back in the subway, where after going through a door, the Joker aids kick in as Batman's max health goes down. Seeing as this simply lowers my max health and doesn't take a chunk of my health out like normal, this will not be counted as a reset. After some line launcher shenanigans, I get shot during a beatdown and then use this smoke bomb to deal with these idiots the next time. I then pause to pee before heading into the base of Wonder Tower, where we find yet another stealth section. Inside the section, I get shot again, shot really stupidly, and then shot again even more stupidly. The sound then breaks due to me trying to fix my controller connection, so I go fix it, then restart the game. On my attempt after the restart, I almost get seen twice, destroy the Titan container in the middle of the encounter, then pass the section with no other issues. I rescue this nurse, go through this door, and then Batman starts having a heart attack again, lowering my max health even more. To make this moment even better, more ninjas arrive, but I deal with them no problem. We then make our way through this corridor and into Wonder City, where the game decides it wants to be difficult, so I need to go scan robot heads. After a few minutes of this, we find the secret entrance and politely ask this ninja to help us in opening it. Batman then walks through some tunnels before emerging and hallucinating his parents, proving finally that Joker may have in fact taken some LSD before transferring his blood into Batman. Talia arrives and saves our ass from some more ninjas and then escorts us to a small room with the world's safest drink. The drink, of course, makes us hallucinate some gliding tutorials featuring the great Ra's al Ghul. I get stabbed several times, once while distracted by a text, and then proceed to fall into the endless void a few times as well. Eventually, though, I get through and go to kill Ra's al Ghul. Just kidding, since Batman definitely hasn't killed before, he refuses to kill Ra's, and so the fight begins. I get stabbed by Ra's himself at one point with ninja stars, and then get sliced by some swords, but with the use of spamming and the wreck gun, I make it through the fight, and Ra's threatens to kill Talia, so I stop him, collect his blood, and leave Wonder City. The only thing of note on the way was me turning the wrong way and encountering our friendly neighborhood Florida man for a moment. He of course threatens to eat me like any good Florida man, then crawls back into his hole. I find a bunch of idiots on the subway terminal, who I deal with, and then learn that Mayor Sharp has been placed into Arkham City. Batman of course just has to talk to him, so we go and once again use very polite methods to get the information we need. Batman's stalker then shows up again, and we begin our journey back to the GCPD. Before we get there though, I think it's a good time for a break to discuss my plan for the rest of the video. We have done a lot so far, and all that's really left to do is give the blood to Freeze and have him make a cure for us. Surely nothing can go wrong, right? For those wondering, yes, I have been deliberately doing side missions this whole time. You may have noticed a lack of Riddler in this video as well. That's because I hate him and did not want to deal with him during this run, so the church simply remained off limits. I chose the side missions I felt would be easiest to incorporate into this kind of video, hence why I've been doing the Stalker side missions since he just appears, and the Titan canisters aren't that hard to miss. Okay, by now we should be approaching the GCPD, so I just want to thank you all for the support on all the Arkham Asylum video, and just want to tell you to like and subscribe, but only if you want to, of course. With that, we make our way back to the GCPD, get bonked by a shield, and then finally make our way inside. Shocking no one, we get back to the GCPD, and Freeze tells us that Joker has kidnapped his wife, so he demands we go find her. Seeing as we have much better things to do, we decline, and Freeze decides it's time for a boss fight. This is a problem. Freeze is notoriously one of the hardest bosses in this entire series, when playing normally, let alone during this no damage run. So safe to say I was very concerned about this part of the playthrough. That being said, I try my best but end up getting blasted after being backed into a corner, then get shot again while being dumb, and eventually, on my third attempt, through sheer willpower and utter luck, I beat Freeze, and Batman sees the Joker like in his nightmares. Turns out, Harley took the cure, and we need to go get it back, and to help, Freeze gives us the freeze grenade and asks us to find his wife, to which we consider his request. After we leave the GCPD, Vicky Vale arrives and immediately gets shot down by Joker's goons, so we need to go find her. After saving her, Batman meets up with the Stalker again, finishes the symbol on the mat, then meets back up with him again at the church, where he reveals that he is in fact Azrael and the real member of Gotham's actual church group. Definitely not traumatized by this information, Batman follows Alfred's suggestion and after silently dealing with these fellows on the roof, grabs the cure from a local rooftop. This cure of course was fake, as Batman is once again drugged and wakes up at a table with Johnny Depp. He declines another Pirates movie, so we take out our frustrations on the Rabbit Men, and despite many close calls, I pass the section first try. We then deal with him accordingly and leave the building. While I travel, I somehow escape this situation unscathed, then I get sniped by one of the two Joker thugs positioned on the bridge. Since I'm in the area, I stop by one of the warehouses, and after 3 resets and several fractured bones, save Nora Freeze from her fate of listening to these idiots forever. Since I'm not a terrible person after all, I head back to GCPD and tell Freeze that his wife is alright. Now with all that distraction out of the way, it's time to head back to the steel mill. On the way, I get punched, then somehow pass the stealth section outside the front door because this game makes no sense. Inside, I deal with these fellows, then destroy the final Titan container. As I continue, I get punched yet again, then kicked while attempting a takedown. Since I'm a kind person, I save this two-faced thug, who then thanks me by trying to kill me. Next time, I simply punch him in the face, but then walk right into a steam pipe. This goddamn thug then hits me again, so on my final attempt, I simply leave him behind like a petty little bitch. I then get jumped by the doctor like an idiot, and then stop her the next time, so she tells us that the Joker's goons have once again taken the smelting chamber. Inside, I utilize prime stealth as I roll in front of this idiot and get shot as soon as I stand up. Next time though, it goes by no issue. Afterwards, I get sniped on the line launcher, then utilize my brain to deal with this guy properly next time. I then say hi to Harley and find myself back in the Joker's office, to which I come face to face with the clown himself, looking far less contaminated if I do say so myself. And here we reach what is commonly described as the true hardest fight in this game. And I only reset 11 times. The hardest part of this fight is the fact that Joker himself is here from the beginning and refuses to go down right until the end. Other than that, I somehow beat it and Batman gets crushed by some rocks. Talia then arrives and takes Joker to go find the Lazarus Pit as Batman loses consciousness. Back to Catwoman, Ivy lets us go in return for getting her plant from the vault. On the way, I get shot and once again realize why I hate playing as Catwoman in this game. I make it to the vault, then through the stealth and combat section inside, leaving Ivy's plant behind in the process. As I leave, I see Batman's future corpse on the TV and decide to just go save him instead of running away with the money because I really don't want to waste my time and by extension yours. Once Catwoman arrives, she rescues Batman, I pause for another bathroom break, and we finally discover what Protocol 10 is. Turns out it was Strange's plan to bomb the hell out of Arkham City and kill every inmate inside in the process. After a pep talk from Batman and Oracle, we begin our journey to stop Strange's plan, which starts by scanning some helicopters. I get bored of this very quickly, and since I'm in the area, I drop by the toy store and talk to Bane. We briefly discuss the Titan as the Tiger Guards run in and try to stop us. This fight was somehow one of the more difficult ones for this run, since Bane decided he wanted to be a problem rather than an ally and hits me with several of his attacks before I eventually utilize the multi-ground takedown to finish the fight. Since he is a villain though, Bane betrays us, so I lock him in a cell and make him watch as I destroy what's left of his precious Titan. Back outside, I scan a few more helicopters before finding the one I need and making my way into the processing room. Inside, the stun stick thugs are introduced, Strange threatens a random man's life, and I somehow don't get hit in the following fight despite several close calls. Afterwards, we make our way back to the base of Wonder Tower, speak with the nurse, and then begin our next stealth section. Inside the section, I get spotted almost immediately twice, then manage to move fast enough on the third attempt to beat all of the guards before Strange even stops talking. One brief elevator ride later, and I enter the next fight where I get punched a lot, sometimes unfairly, and briefly run out of patience before moving on. I climb the tower, watch the museum get bombed, then make my way through the service entrance and up to the top room of the tower, and the coolest stealth section of the game. In case you haven't noticed, Strange sits in the middle of the room and calls out to his guards every time he sees you. I simply take my time and manage to beat the section first try thanks to a lot of sitting in one place and then eventually just going for it. When we're done with those idiots outside, we enter Strange's room and beat him up a little before stopping Protocol 10. Strange then monologues for a bit, gets stabbed, and then Raish returns and does a bit of monologuing for himself. Strange decides for everyone that we don't need to hear that and decides that blowing up the tower would be better than listening to Raish talk for another minute. Naturally, we leave him behind and swan dive with Raish out the window. Raish then stabs himself midair, then gets impaled on the Arkham City sign, as we land on the roof across from him. With Strange and Raish defeated, I officially end the run and prove that I can in fact beat...
Hello? Is anyone there?
Shit. Well, I forgot Joker needed to be dealt with, so I make my way over to the Monarch Theater and deal with all the snipers outside without detective mode, since it seems to be a lot easier that way. After assaulting these two fine citizens outside, I head in to find Joker and Talia in a situation, which ends with Talia stabbing Joker in the back. Literally. Batman then takes the time to actually think about the night of hell he's just been through and realizes the Joker's real plan. A bit too late though, as Joker shoots Talia and we get the big reveal that this cured Joker was in fact Clayface the entire time. And so begins the final fight of the game. The first phase of this fight goes by with no relative issue, my only reset here being when he ran into the explosives and caught me during the transition scene. Other than that one reset, I get through phases 1 and 2 easily with help from my ice bomb and move down to the third phase. Batman harnesses his inner ninja as he uses a sword to absolutely chop down these clay goons, but not before getting smacked by one of them and then shot by Clayface 2 other times. Despite this, I continue and next time find myself diving headfirst into Clayface's mouth and ending the fight. After this, Batman drinks some of his lovely Pepto-Bismol that Freeze cooked up, Joker stabs him in the arm, and then dies like an idiot. Batman leaves the theater holding his boyfriend in his arms, and I officially prove that I can in fact beat Batman Arkham City without taking any damage. This challenge was actually a lot of fun. As I said earlier in the video, Arkham City is one of my favorite video games ever made, and being able to play it for YouTube is just awesome. Throughout this run, I had the extra goal of trying to get less resets than Arkham Asylum, and actually ended up succeeding. Arkham Asylum had close to 200 total resets, while this Arkham City run only ended up having around 74 total. Speaking of Asylum, I just wanted to take a full moment to thank everyone for their support on that video. It means a lot to me that so many people enjoyed that run, and hopefully you all enjoyed this one as well. As I've said before, I will be playing through the other Arkham games, but my next video may not be what you expect, so stay tuned to find out. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe only if you want. I've been your host, Penguin Power, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Take care.